Senator Lindsey Graham is spending the morning in Charleston today. He spoke at the Rotary Club in downtown earlier and then stopped by our studio for a one-on-one with Brad Franko.
On our side, you got the number 2 guy tried to kill somebody at 14, and the number 1 guy's high energy and crazy as hell.
So how are you losing to these people?
I don't know.
Senator Lindsey Graham, of course, still in the race for president. The big news today, that you're not even going to be a part of the quote-unquote undercard.
Yeah, that was a shock to us. The process is a bit broken. Apparently, they used a poll that my name was not in. So it's pretty hard to
How's
do
that
well.
fair?
That's not fair, and we'll ask Fox to do a replay. We'll go up to the replay booth, but if you take that poll out, I'm double what I need to get in, and we'll see how that works. But the bottom line is, soldiers don't quit. I'm not going to quit. I think I'm the most qualified person to be commander-in-chief, and it's frustrating with 15 people trying to break through. Donald Trump is a bigger-than-life character. Dr. Carson's a fine man, but I think I've got the background and experience and the best judgment, quite frankly, to be commander-in-chief. I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan 35 times, 30 years in the Air Force. I've got a plan to destroy ISIL, and I'm ready to go.
You talked about Dr. Carson. Boy, he's taken a beating today and on some channels about this whole thing from his book about his violent past, how violent was it, who were these people. You made a joke about it, too.
And it was a joke. I like Dr. Carson. I mean, number one, who would lie about wanting to kill somebody? Yeah. I think what he's trying to tell us is that, you know, he was transformed by his faith. And, you know, this whole idea, did he do all the things he claimed? Why would you lie about that? Yeah. So I think Dr. Carson is under scrutiny like all of us. I think he's a fine man. I think the appeal of Dr. Carson, he's quiet, he's humble. I just think my background is exactly what we need. I mean, we need somebody who is going to be a commander-in-chief that's going to, you know, destroy ISIL and understands what they're all about.
Are you disheartened at all by you haven't been able to cut above the noise?
Not really, because I've done this before with McCain at his side. There are 15 people. A national poll, let's say you do 450 people, the chance of calling somebody from South Carolina is pretty remote. If your dad's run for president, you're going to be doing better in polls. If you've got your name on a bunch of buildings, if you've had your own TV show. At the end of the day, we're sort of polling celebrity and name ID in November. In February, we're going to be voting in New Hampshire, where people have had a chance to hear from me. So national polls at this point in time really are not that determinative. The people leading in 2008 and 12, at this point, none of them won the nomination. So what do I have to do? Go to New Hampshire, meet every man, woman, and child I can, talk about I'm ready to be commander-in-chief on day one, and I want to solve problems.
You mentioned New Hampshire 2 or 3 times already.
Yeah, it's the
here.
key for me.
You've been in New Hampshire all this week. Maybe your second home at this point.
Yeah, in many ways.
Is that Graham's last stand?
Well, I think it's my best place to break through. John McCain won New Hampshire twice. In 2000, 2008, he's going to endorse me. He's campaigning with me. New Hampshire checks you out. They're like South Carolina. We're a very informed electorate. I go to house parties, weddings, funerals, bar mitzvahs, friendly divorces. Wherever you're at, I'll go meet you in New Hampshire. I talk about winning a war we can't afford to lose, my background, what I've learned from my 35 trips to Iraq and Afghanistan, how to use our military, a regional force to destroy ISIL, and why Russia and Iran are up to no good. And I talk about reaching across the aisle and solving problems like immigration, getting out of debt. And I think it's working. It's just going to take a while. I'm not that well known, but I'm getting better known. I think I've done well in the debates.
Well, including you have your fans. Mitt Romney, the previous nominee from the Republican Party, he's in your corner. He sent out this tweet saying that after hearing Lindsey Graham talk about foreign policy tonight, this is after one of the last debates, he says it's clear that you belong on the main stage, yet here we are.
Well, you know, Mitt's been incredibly kind to me. He's done that twice, but having John McCain, the former nominee, and Mitt Romney say Lindsey Graham is the strongest voice we have on foreign policy. It's about testing ourselves. I think I could bring a level of debate on foreign policy we haven't seen before. They can test me about other things. I can test our candidates about foreign policy. The goal is to win. If it's not me, I want to make sure we pick somebody who's ready to go in the ring with Hillary Clinton, can challenge the Obama foreign policy. It's not enough to criticize Obama. What would you do differently? We need American ground troops in Iraq, more of them, 3,500. We need about 10,000. You can't.
You know, though, a lot of people hear you say that and they're like, well, that's my
let me
reason
tell
to
you,
step way.
You know, I'm not doing this on polling based on what I've learned. We shouldn't have left Iraq. It was in good place. I begged President Obama, leave 10,000 troops behind and we wouldn't be here today. ISIL is a result of leaving Iraq too soon. Assad was on the ropes 3 years ago. If you don't think ISIL is a threat to us, then I disagree with you. And if you think they're going to attack us, which I believe they are, they're coming after us, they're going to destroy Israel and disrupt the whole Mideast. You hit them before they hit you. If you really believe these guys are a threat to the homeland, why wouldn't you use American soldiers to defend the homeland? The good news is we need a fraction of what we've had in the past. The region is ready to fight ISIL. They will provide most of the ground forces, 90% them, 10% us. They're ready to be led, and I will lead them, and we will destroy ISIL. And if we don't, we're going to get hit.
Their last big strike appears to be that Metrojet in Russia. And today, Vladimir Putin, who has so far said, listen, America, there's no reason to say that that thing was blown up. Now he's saying you're not flying over that part of the world.
I don't know exactly what happened. I know this. If ISIL didn't do it, they wanted to. If they could, they'd do more. They're radical Islamic terrorists. They're religious Nazis. They want to purify their faith. They're killing every Muslim they can find who disagrees with them. They're destroying their Christian community, and Obama's sitting on the sideline and doing nothing about it. They want to destroy Israel and come after us because we're infidels. I know who they are. They're motivated by their religion to come after us. We've done nothing wrong. We just won't bend to their will, and therefore we're their enemy. Well, they're the enemy of mankind. The Turks, the Jordanians, the Egyptians, the Saudis, they all want to go after these guys too because they're a threat to their way of life. So I would put a regional army together. We're going on the ground. Putin helping Assad means the war never ends. Assad is the enemy of ISIL. He's aligned with the Iranian Shia Persians, a different part of the faith. He's killed 250,000 of his own people. So propping Assad up means the war never ends. It's a recruiting tool for ISIL. I will deal with Putin differently than Obama.
At 5 seconds. You sound like a guy you say you're running for president.
Yes.
Are you indeed running for president? Because you also sound like you could be running for defense secretary or secretary of state.
I wouldn't doing this to be, if I didn't think I'd be the commander-in-chief we need. I am running to be president of the United States, commander-in-chief on day one. I will have the backs of those who've had our backs. God knows the military's had our backs. I will make sure I have theirs. I got a great job, senator from South Carolina. The only job better for me would be commander-in-chief, and that's what I'm trying to be, the commander-in-chief, a president that will bring us together.
We'll leave it there. Senator Graham,
Thank
you. Good luck.
Thanks. Bye.